The heaviness in your chest is not meaningless. It may feel confusing, overwhelming, and at times even unbearable, but it is not without purpose. Often, when a person experiences this weight, they immediately assume something is wrong, that they are failing, losing control, or being distanced from what they once had. But in reality, that heaviness can be a signal that something deeper is happening within you. It is not always about what is being taken away. Sometimes it is about what is being formed. The heart is not just an emotional center, it is a place of transformation. When it feels heavy, it is often because it is carrying something new, something unfamiliar, something that is stretching it beyond its previous limits. You may not always understand why certain things feel harder than they used to. Situations that once felt manageable now feel overwhelming. People who once brought comfort now feel distant. Even your own thoughts may feel heavier, more complex, more intense. But this shift is not random. It reflects a transition. Growth rarely comes with ease. It comes with pressure. Just as muscles grow through resistance, your inner self grows through emotional and spiritual weight. That heaviness is not there to destroy you. It is there to expand your capacity. Sometimes the weight you feel is the result of outgrowing a version of yourself. When you are being elevated, your old habits, old attachments, and even old ways of thinking begin to feel uncomfortable. What once felt normal now feels restrictive. What once satisfied you now feels empty. This creates a tension within you, a heaviness that comes from standing between who you were and who you are becoming. It is not an easy place to be, because it requires letting go without fully seeing what is ahead. But that discomfort is part of the process. It is a sign that you are moving forward, even if it doesn't feel like progress. There are also moments when this heaviness comes from carrying emotions you have not fully processed. Pain, disappointment, regret, and even unspoken fears can accumulate over time. Instead of disappearing, they settle within you, creating a weight that lingers beneath the surface. When life slows down or when certain triggers appear, that weight rises, making you feel overwhelmed. But even this has meaning. It is your inner self asking you to acknowledge what you have been holding. It is an invitation to reflect, to release, and to heal. Ignoring it only makes it heavier. Facing it begins to lighten it. The heaviness can also be a sign of awareness. As you grow, you begin to see things more clearly about yourself, about others, about life. This clarity can be both a blessing and a burden. You start recognizing patterns, noticing truths you once overlooked, and understanding realities that are not always easy to accept. This awareness adds weight because it removes the comfort of ignorance, but it also brings you closer to authenticity. It aligns you with truth, even if that truth feels heavy at first. It is important to understand that not all heaviness is negative. Some of it carries depth, meaning, and purpose. A person who feels deeply often carries more weight, but they also have a greater capacity for understanding, empathy, and connection. The weight you feel may be shaping you into someone more aware, more compassionate, and more resilient. It is not there to break you. It is there to build you into someone stronger, even if the process feels uncomfortable. Allah uses pain to awaken your soul. Pain is often misunderstood as something purely negative, something to be avoided at all costs. But in reality, pain can be one of the most powerful tools for awakening. It has the ability to shake you out of routines, to disrupt your comfort, and to force you to confront truths you might otherwise ignore. Without pain, many people would remain in situations that are harmful, in mindsets that limit them, and in paths that lead them away from growth. Pain acts as a wake-up call. It brings your attention back to what truly matters. When everything in life is going smoothly, it is easy to become distracted. You may become attached to temporary things, relying on them for happiness and security. You may forget to reflect, to question, and to seek deeper meaning. But when pain enters your life, it disrupts that comfort. It forces you to pause. It makes you ask questions you never asked before. Why is this happening? What does this mean? What should I change? In this way, pain becomes a catalyst for awareness. Pain also strips away illusions. It reveals the reality of things that once seemed certain. It shows you the fragility of life, the unpredictability of circumstances, and the limitations of what you once depended on. This can feel destabilizing, but it is also clarifying. It removes what is false and leaves you with what is real. Through this process, your soul begins to awaken. You start seeing beyond the surface, understanding that there is more to life than what is immediately visible. There is also a unique connection between pain and humility. When a person goes through difficulty, they are reminded of their limitations. They realize that they are not in control of everything, that there are forces beyond their understanding. This realization can bring a sense of humility that opens the heart. It softens arrogance, reduces ego, and creates space for sincerity. In this state, a person becomes more receptive, more open to guidance, and more aware of their need for something greater than themselves. Pain can also bring clarity about priorities. When you are faced with hardship, you begin to distinguish between what truly matters and what does not. Things that once seemed important may lose their significance, while things you overlooked may become essential. Relationships, values, and purpose all come into sharper focus. This clarity is part of the awakening process. It helps you realign your life with what is meaningful rather than what is superficial. Another way pain awakens the soul is by pushing you toward reflection. In moments of difficulty, you naturally turn inward. You think more deeply, question more sincerely, and seek answers more earnestly. This reflection is not just about solving problems, it is about understanding yourself. You begin to recognize your strengths, your weaknesses, your fears, and your desires. This self-awareness is a key part of growth. Without it, change is difficult. With it, transformation becomes possible. Pain also teaches resilience. It shows you that you can endure more than you thought. It challenges your limits and expands them. Each time you go through something difficult and come out on the other side, you carry a new level of strength within you. This strength is not just physical or emotional. It is deeply rooted in your sense of self. It changes how you see challenges, how you respond to difficulties, and how you approach life as a whole. At times, the awakening that comes from pain is gradual. You may not notice it immediately. You may feel lost, confused, or overwhelmed. But over time, things begin to shift. Your perspective changes, your reactions evolve, your priorities realign, and you begin to see that the pain you experienced was not just an obstacle, it was a turning point. It was the moment that initiated a deeper level of awareness and growth. Pain has a way of bringing you back to what is essential. It removes distractions and forces you to confront what is real. It may not feel like a blessing in the moment, but it carries the potential for profound transformation. It awakens parts of you that would otherwise remain dormant. It guides you toward a deeper understanding of yourself and your purpose. And even though it is difficult, it plays a role in shaping who you are becoming. That pressure is a sign of transformation. It does not arrive gently, nor does it announce itself in ways that are easy to understand. Instead, it builds quietly, layer by layer, until you begin to feel it in your thoughts, your emotions, and even in your daily action. You may notice that things which once felt simple now require more effort. Decisions feel heavier. Your patience is tested in ways it never was before. Even moments of silence feel louder, filled with thoughts that refuse to settle. This pressure can feel suffocating at times, as if you are being pushed beyond your limits. But what you may not realize in those moments is that pressure is often the very environment where transformation begins. Nothing transforms without pressure. A seed does not become a tree without breaking through the resistance of soil. A diamond does not form without intense pressure over time. In the same way, your inner self cannot evolve without being challenged. That pressure you feel is not there to crush you, it is there to shape you. It is stretching your capacity, forcing you to grow in ways that comfort never could. Without it, you would remain in a state that feels safe but ultimately limits your potential. This kind of pressure often appears when you are on the edge of change. It is the space between what you know and what you are about to become. And that space is uncomfortable by nature. You are no longer fully aligned with your old self, but you have not yet settled into your new self. This creates an internal tension. You may feel uncertain, restless, even lost at times. But this is not a sign that you are moving in the wrong direction. It is a sign that something within you is shifting. Pressure also exposes what is hidden. Under normal circumstances, it is easy to avoid certain truths about yourself. Your fears, your weaknesses, your patterns. But when pressure builds, those things come to the surface. You begin to see clearly what needs to change. This can be difficult because it requires honesty. It forces you to confront parts of yourself that you may have ignored. But this exposure is necessary. You cannot transform what you refuse to acknowledge. There are moments when this pressure will make you feel like you are falling apart. Your emotions may feel unpredictable. You may question your direction, your choices, even your sense of identity. But what feels like falling apart is often a process of breaking down what is no longer meant to stay. Old beliefs, outdated habits, and limiting perspectives are being dismantled. This process is not comfortable, but it is essential. You cannot carry everything from your past into your future. Some things must be released, even if it feels painful. It is also important to recognize that pressure builds resilience. Each time you endure it, you develop a deeper level of strength, not the kind that is loud or visible, but the kind that is steady and grounded. You begin to realize that you can handle more than you thought. Situations that once overwhelmed you become manageable. Challenges that once felt impossible become opportunities for growth. This resilience is not given. It is earned through the very pressure you are experiencing. At times, you may wish for the pressure to disappear, to return to a state where everything felt easier. But ease does not always lead to growth. It can create comfort, but it can also create stagnation. Pressure, on the other hand, pushes you forward. It forces movement, even when you would rather stay still. It demands change, even when change feels uncertain. And in doing so, it opens the door to transformation. The key is not to resist the pressure, but to understand it. Instead of asking why it is happening, consider what it is trying to teach you. What is it revealing about your life, your choices, your mindset? What is it asking you to release, to embrace, or to change? When you begin to see pressure as part of the process rather than an obstacle, your perspective shifts, becomes less about surviving it and more about growing through it. You are being reshaped, not broken. In moments of intense difficulty, it is easy to believe that everything is falling apart. You may feel like you are losing control, like pieces of your life are slipping away, like the person you once were is no longer there. This can create a deep sense of fear and uncertainty. It may feel as though you are breaking under the weight of everything you are carrying. But what feels like breaking is often a process of being reshaped into something new. When something is reshaped, it does not remain in its original form. It goes through a process of change that can look messy, unpredictable, and even destructive from the outside. But that process is intentional. It is guided by a purpose. In your own life, this reshaping may come in the form of experiences that challenge you, relationships that change or end, or circumstances that force you to adapt. Each of these moments contributes to the person you are becoming. One of the most difficult parts of being reshaped is letting go of your old identity. You may have spent years building a certain version of yourself, your habits, your beliefs, your expectations. And when those begin to change, it can feel like you are losing yourself. But in reality, you are not losing yourself. You are outgrowing a version of yourself that can no longer support where you are meant to go. This is not loss, it is evolution. There is also a sense of uncertainty that comes with being reshaped. You may not have a clear picture of who you are becoming. You may feel like you are in between two states, not fully connected to your past, but not yet comfortable in your future. This in-between space can feel unsettling because it lacks clarity and stability, but it is also a space of possibility. It is where new perspectives are formed, new strengths are developed, and new directions begin to take shape. Being reshaped often requires you to confront discomfort. It asks you to step outside of what is familiar and face what is unknown. This can trigger fear, doubt, and resistance. You may question whether you are capable of handling the changes in your life. You may wonder if things will ever feel stable again. But discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something is different. And difference is a necessary part of growth. There are times when this process will feel slow, almost as if nothing is changing at all. You may feel stuck, unable to see progress or results. But reshaping does not always happen in visible ways. Much of it occurs beneath the surface, in your thoughts, your mindset, and your internal responses. Just because you cannot see it does not mean it is not happening. Change is often subtle before it becomes visible. Another important aspect of being reshaped is learning to trust the process. This does not mean ignoring your struggles or pretending everything is easy. It means recognizing that there is a purpose behind what you are experiencing, even if you do not fully understand it yet. It means allowing yourself to move through the process without constantly trying to control or resist it. Trust does not remove the difficulty, but it changes how you experience it. As you go through this transformation, you may begin to notice shifts in how you think, how you react, and how you see the world. Things that once triggered you may no longer have the same effect. Situations that once caused fear may now feel manageable. You may find yourself responding with more patience, more clarity, and more awareness. These are signs that the reshaping is taking place. It is also worth recognizing that being reshaped does not mean becoming perfect. It means becoming more aligned with who you are meant to be. It means letting go of what no longer serves you and embracing what helps you grow. It is a continuous process, not a final destination. There will always be new challenges, new lessons, and new opportunities for growth. What feels like breaking is often the release of what cannot continue with you. It is the shedding of layers that no longer fit. It is the restructuring of your inner self to support a stronger, more resilient version of you. And while it may not feel like it in the moment, this process is not taking away from you. It is building you into someone who can carry more, understand more, and grow beyond what you once thought possible. Every hardship carries hidden mercy. It is one of the most difficult truths to accept when you are in the middle of pain. When life becomes heavy and situations feel overwhelming, the idea that there is mercy within that hardship can feel distant, almost impossible to believe. Your mind focuses on what is being taken, what is hurting, what is not going your way. You see the loss, the delay, the confusion, but you do not immediately see the mercy. And yet, that does not mean it is not there. Mercy is not always obvious in the moment. Sometimes it is hidden beneath layers of difficulty, waiting to be understood with time. There are situations in life where something you deeply wanted does not happen, and it feels like a loss. You may have planned for it, prayed for it, and believed it was right for you. When it does not come to you, the disappointment can feel heavy. But what you cannot see in that moment is what you are being protected from. There are paths that seem good on the surface but carry consequences you are not aware of. There are outcomes that may have brought temporary happiness but long-term harm. The mercy in that hardship lies in being redirected away from something that was not truly meant for you, even if it felt right at the time. Mercy can also be found in the lessons that hardship brings. When everything is easy, there is little motivation to reflect or change. Comfort can keep you in the same patterns, the same mindset, the same level of awareness. But hardship interrupts that comfort. It forces you to think, to question, to reassess. You begin to see your life from a different perspective. You recognize what truly matters and what does not. This clarity is a form of mercy, even if it comes through difficulty. It guides you toward growth, helping you become more aware, more intentional, and more aligned with what is truly important. Another form of hidden mercy is the strength that develops through hardship. You may not notice it immediately, but each challenge you face builds something within you. It increases your patience, deepens your resilience, and expands your ability to endure. Before the hardship, you may have thought you could not handle certain situations. But as you go through them, you realize that you are capable of more than you believed. This strength is not just for the present moment, it becomes a part of you, something you carry into the future. It prepares you for challenges you have not yet encountered, giving you the tools to face them with greater confidence. Hardship can also bring you closer to Allah in ways that ease never could. In moments of difficulty, you are more likely to turn inward, to reflect, to seek meaning. You become more aware of your need for guidance, for support, for something greater than yourself. This awareness creates a deeper connection, a sense of reliance that strengthens your faith. While comfort may lead to distraction, hardship often leads to remembrance. It brings you back to what is essential, grounding you in a way that is both humbling and transformative. There are also times when the mercy in hardship lies in what it removes from your life. Not everything that leaves you is a loss. Some things are taken away because they are no longer beneficial for you. This can include relationships, opportunities, or even certain environments. At the time, it may feel painful, like something important is being taken from you. But over time, you may come to see that what was removed was holding you back, limiting your growth, or even causing you harm in ways you did not fully recognize. The removal itself becomes a form of mercy, creating space for something better to enter your life. Patience plays a crucial role in recognizing this hidden mercy. Without patience, it is easy to become consumed by the immediate pain, unable to see beyond it. But with patience, you create space for understanding. You allow time to reveal what was not clear in the beginning. You begin to see how certain events connect, how certain outcomes lead to others, how what once felt like a setback becomes a turning point. This perspective does not come instantly. It develops over time as you reflect and observe the unfolding of your life. It is also important to understand that mercy does not always mean ease. Sometimes the most merciful outcomes come through the most challenging experiences. This does not mean the pain is insignificant or that it should be ignored. It means that the pain has a purpose, that it contributes to something meaningful, even if that meaning is not immediately visible. Mercy can be present in the form of growth, protection, redirection, and transformation. It may not always look like what you expect, but it is there, woven into the fabric of your experiences. When you begin to trust that every hardship carries hidden mercy, your perspective starts to shift. You may still feel the pain, but you also hold on to the possibility that there is something more beneath it. This does not remove the difficulty, but it changes how you relate to it. It allows you to move through hardship with a sense of hope, knowing that what you are experiencing is not without purpose. Your discomfort is a divine signal. It is not random, nor is it something to be ignored. Discomfort often arises when something within your life, your mindset, or your environment is no longer aligned with who you are meant to be. It is a signal that something needs your attention, something needs to change, or something needs to be understood more deeply. While it may feel unpleasant, discomfort carries important messages that can guide you toward growth and clarity. There are times when discomfort appears in your daily life in subtle ways. You may feel restless, unsatisfied, or disconnected, even if everything on the surface seems fine. This kind of discomfort is not always tied to a specific event. It is more of an internal feeling that something is not quite right. It may be a sign that you have outgrown your current situation, that you are ready for something more, or that you need to reevaluate your priorities. Ignoring this signal can lead to stagnation, while paying attention to it can open the door to meaningful change. Discomfort can also arise when you are faced with truths that are difficult to accept. It may challenge your beliefs, your assumptions, or your understanding of certain situations. This can create resistance, a desire to avoid or deny what you are feeling. But this discomfort is often a sign of growth. It indicates that you are being exposed to new perspectives, that your awareness is expanding. While it may feel unsettling, it is part of the process of evolving your understanding. Another form of discomfort comes from being pushed beyond your comfort zone. Growth rarely happens in familiar territory. It requires stepping into the unknown, taking risks, and facing uncertainty. This naturally creates discomfort because it challenges your sense of safety and control. You may feel fear, doubt, or hesitation. But this discomfort is not a sign that you should retreat. It is a sign that you are moving in a direction that has the potential to expand your life. It is a signal that you are stretching beyond your current limits. Discomfort also plays a role in guiding your decisions. When something does not feel right, it often creates a sense of unease. This can be a valuable indicator, helping you recognize situations, relationships, or choices that may not be beneficial for you. While it is important to differentiate between fear and intuition, this inner discomfort can serve as a form of guidance. It encourages you to pause, reflect, and consider whether you are aligned with what truly matters to you. There are moments when discomfort is linked to necessary change. Change by its nature disrupts what is familiar. It requires adjustment, adaptation, and sometimes letting go. This process can feel uncomfortable because it involves uncertainty. You may not know what the outcome will be or how things will unfold, but this discomfort is part of the transition. It signals that you are moving from one phase of your life to another. It may not feel stable in the moment, but it is leading you toward a new state of being. Discomfort can also reveal areas of your life that need healing. Emotional wounds, unresolved experiences, and suppressed feelings often manifest as discomfort. You may feel triggered by certain situations or reactions that seem disproportionate to what is happening. These moments are not random. They point to something deeper that needs your attention. By acknowledging and addressing these areas, you begin the process of healing. While this can be challenging, it ultimately leads to greater clarity and peace. It is important to approach discomfort with curiosity rather than resistance. Instead of immediately trying to escape it, consider what it might be trying to tell you. What is the source of this feeling? What aspect of your life does it relate to? What changes might it be encouraging you to make? By asking these questions, you turn discomfort into a tool for self-awareness rather than something to be avoided. Discomfort does not always mean something is wrong. Sometimes it means something is changing. It means you are being guided toward growth, toward alignment, toward a deeper understanding of yourself and your path. While it may not be easy, it carries valuable insights that can help you navigate your journey with greater awareness. When you begin to see discomfort as a signal rather than a problem, your relationship with it changes. You become more open to its messages, more willing to explore what it reveals. This does not mean the feeling disappears, but it becomes more manageable. It becomes part of your growth rather than an obstacle to it. Allah is redirecting your path. There are moments in life when things do not go according to your plans and it feels deeply unsettling. You may have had a clear vision of where you were going, what you wanted, and how things were supposed to unfold. But suddenly, something changes. Opportunities close, relationships shift, plans fall apart. In those moments, it can feel like you are losing direction, like everything is becoming uncertain. But what feels like confusion is often redirection. It is not that your path has disappeared. It is that it is being adjusted in a way you may not yet understand. Redirection does not always come in ways that feel gentle. Sometimes it comes through disappointment, through doors that close despite your efforts, through outcomes that do not match your expectations. You may question why something you wanted so much is being taken away, or why something you worked toward is no longer within reach. But what you cannot see in that moment is the broader picture. You are viewing your life from a limited perspective, while Allah sees what lies ahead, what lies behind, and what remains hidden from you. This redirection is not random. It is precise, intentional, and rooted in knowledge you do not yet have access to. There are times when you are moving in a direction that feels right, simply because it aligns with your desires. But not every desire leads to what is best for you. You may pursue something with full confidence, believing it will bring you happiness or success, only to find obstacles appearing at every step. These obstacles are not always meant to stop you out of cruelty. Sometimes they are there to guide you away from a path that would have caused you harm. Redirection can come in the form of delays, rejections, or unexpected changes. While these experiences may feel frustrating, they are often protecting you from outcomes you cannot foresee. Redirection also requires trust. It asks you to move forward even when you do not have clarity, to accept change even when it feels uncomfortable. This is not easy because the human mind seeks certainty. It wants to know where it is going, what will happen next, and how everything will unfold. But redirection often takes you through uncertainty. It asks you to let go of the illusion of control and to accept that there is a greater plan at work. This does not mean you stop making efforts or decisions. It means you recognize that not everything is within your control. There is a subtle shift that happens when you begin to trust redirection. Instead of seeing obstacles as purely negative, you begin to question what they might be leading you toward. Instead of focusing only on what is not working, you start to notice what is opening up. Sometimes a closed door creates space for a better opportunity. Sometimes a delay gives you time to grow in ways you did not realize you needed. Sometimes a change in direction leads you to something that aligns more deeply with who you are becoming. Redirection can also bring you closer to your purpose. There are paths you may choose that are based on external expectations, societal pressures, or temporary desires. These paths may seem appealing at first, but they may not align with your deeper purpose. When you are redirected, you are being guided towards something more meaningful, something that resonates with your values, your strengths, and your potential. This alignment may not be immediately visible, but over time, it becomes clearer. It is important to understand that redirection does not mean failure. It does not mean you made the wrong choices or that your efforts were wasted. Every step you took, even if it did not lead where you expected, contributed to your growth. It taught you something, shaped your perspective, and prepared you for what is ahead. Redirection builds on what you have already experienced. It does not erase it. There will be moments when you look back and realize that what once felt like a setback was actually a turning point. You will see how certain events, certain changes, certain losses led you to something better. This realization often comes with time, after the confusion has settled and the new path has begun to unfold. In those moments, you understand that you were never truly lost. You were being guided. Redirection is not always about dramatic changes. Sometimes it is subtle, almost unnoticeable. A conversation that shifts your thinking, a small decision that leads you in a different direction, a moment of realization that changes your perspective. These small shifts accumulate over time, gradually guiding you toward where you are meant to be. You may not always recognize them in the moment, but they play a significant role in shaping your journey. What feels like loss is actually protection. Loss is one of the most difficult experiences to process because it feels final. It creates a sense of emptiness, a space where something once existed. Whether it is the loss of a person, an opportunity, a plan, or a sense of certainty, it can leave you feeling incomplete. You may focus on what is missing, what could have been, what you no longer have. But within that loss, there is often a layer of protection that is not immediately visible. Not everything you lose is meant to stay in your life. Some things are removed because they are no longer aligned with your growth, your well-being, or your future. This does not make the loss easy, but it gives it context. What you perceive as something valuable may carry unseen consequences. It may limit your growth, distract you from your purpose, or even cause harm in ways you do not fully recognize. The removal of it, while painful, becomes a form of protection. There are times when you hold on to something because it feels familiar, even if it is not beneficial. Familiarity can create a sense of comfort, making it difficult to let go. But comfort does not always equal safety or growth. You may remain in situations that feel stable but are quietly holding you back. When those situations are taken away, it can feel like a loss of stability. But in reality, it is an opportunity to move beyond what was limiting you. Loss can also protect you from outcomes you cannot foresee. You may desire something deeply, believing it will bring you happiness or fulfillment. But what you cannot see are the potential consequences that come with it. There may be challenges, difficulties, or negative impacts that are not immediately obvious. When that desired outcome is taken away, it may feel like a missed opportunity, but it can also be a form of protection from something that would not have served you in the long run. There is also a protective aspect in the timing of loss. Sometimes things are removed from your life at a specific moment because that is when it is most beneficial for you. It may not feel like the right time from your perspective, but there is a wisdom in the timing that you may only understand later. What feels like an interruption can actually be a necessary shift that prevents greater difficulty in the future. Loss often creates space. When something is removed, it leaves behind an emptiness that can feel uncomfortable. But that space is not meant to remain empty. It is an opening for something new to enter, new opportunities, new perspectives, new growth. If everything remained as it was, there would be no room for change. Loss clears the way for what is to come, even if you cannot see it yet. There is also a lesson in learning to detach. When you experience loss, you are reminded that not everything is permanent. This can be a difficult realization, but it also brings a deeper understanding of life. It teaches you to appreciate what you have without becoming completely dependent on it. It encourages you to find stability within yourself rather than relying solely on external circumstances. This inner stability becomes a source of strength, allowing you to navigate changes with greater resilience. Over time, you may begin to see how certain losses were necessary. You may recognize that holding on would have prevented you from moving forward, from growing, from experiencing something better. This realization does not erase the pain of the loss, but it adds meaning to it. It shows you that there was a purpose behind what happened, even if it was not clear at the time. What feels like loss is not always an end. It can be a transition, a shift from one phase of your life to another. It may close one chapter, but it also opens another. This does not mean you immediately feel hopeful or positive about it. It means that within the loss, there is potential for something new. There is a direction you are being guided toward, even if you cannot see it yet. Protection does not always come in the form of ease. Sometimes it comes in the form of removal, of change, of loss. It may not feel like protection in the moment, but that does not mean it is not serving that purpose. It is part of a larger process, one that is guiding you toward what is ultimately better for you, even if the path there is not what you expected.